On this very special episode, we pack our bags and travel over 7,000 miles to one of the most iconic places in the world, Jerusalem, Israel, to explore the rich tapestry of cultures, tradition, food, wine, and centuries-old history. Join us for a once-in-a-lifetime experience as Dine Out Along the Road visits Israel. That is so good. Every town, every city has its hot spots and hidden gems. Join us as we travel the back roads and the main highways, sharing the untold stories behind the food, drink, culture, and notable people that make up these unique treasures. Come on, let's dine out along the road. Located in the pastoral community of Ramat Yashi, Limousine Restaurant is a favorite of locals and tourists alike. Praised for having some of the best quality meat in Israel, Limousine was founded by two Israeli cowboys who wanted to take their cattle expertise to the next level. Spacious and airy, the restaurant boasts its own cattle ranch and on-site butcher shop, ensuring only the freshest cuts of meat are grilled in an open flame oven. Tell me, how in the world does a man have all this when he started with 30 shekels? How did this all come together for you?
Luck. I was hungry to succeed because I didn't come from the place with money or something. I left my kibbutz when I was 30 years old with 3 daughters with no money at all. We started from nothing. I met Amir. We were cowboys together in the Golan Heights. We didn't have no days and no night. But we was very happy with this journey. It was a very interesting journey, what happened to us.
One of the things I love about your operation is you're fully sustainable. You're raising your cattle, you're slaughtering your cattle, and then you're aging them, and they get repurposed in the
100%
restaurant.
control.
Yes.
And to be in the loop all the time. That's the point.
What's the distinction about the way you're raising your cattle here for flavor?
First of all, I raise them to a lot of fat. This is something new in Israel. When we understood, and people start to have money to go to restaurant, to buy steaks, we understood that we must put fat in our beef.
And I noticed in your ranch, you really, it's the Simmental and the Angus combination on most of your cattle that is creating this delicious beef.
We have here a limousine cut. I will show you in the restaurant how we cut it. It's a special cut,
Yes.
big steak, very nice to eat it.
Yes.
We will try it.
I would love that. I would love that. Let's do that. Watching that ranch and then the dry aging, this is the end result here, right,
The end.
Rodney?
Exactly.
This is your famous limousine steak.
Yeah. Now we cut the picanha. Picanha, which is the national steak of Brazil. Now, what I cut now is the rump. You can see it made medium, exactly like we want him.
Doesn't take much effort with that knife.
Yeah.
It goes through that very, very easily.
And we have the fillet.
The fillet. Wow. How many total ounces is this piece?
It's about a kilo point 2 in pound. I don't know how it is, a kilo point
Wow. Kilo point 2, may I?
2. Yeah, of course. Go
Yes.
ahead.
Wow.
Beautiful, eh?
Wow. That's delicious. That is delicious. L'chaim. With all the ranching and the restaurant, what do you do to get away to relax? So what was your favorite thing to do?
I think that in about 2 months I will be 60 years old. And the first thing I'm going to do when I'm 60, I take 1 day off a week.
So I have had great beef in South America, in Argentina. I've had amazing beef in Spain. I've had delicious beef in Texas. This rib may be the best piece of rib I've ever had. It is
very
so
much.
delicious. It literally just melts in my mouth. It's delicious.
There is many people from abroad that they say that if they want us to come to Israel, we want to eat in limousine.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful. There's the company of two of my new favorite Israeli friends. Yes, to all of you. To limousine. To limousine. Because of its biblical importance, the Sea of Galilee is one of Israel's top tourist destinations, with multitudes of visitors making the pilgrimage every year to walk the pathway Jesus once walked and to visit the sites of his life's work. Tucked away in the rolling, fertile hills overlooking the Sea of Galilee is Margalit Winery, a boutique winery that helps shift Israel's wine landscape from mass bottlers to independent winemakers. Founder Yair Margalit's interest in winemaking began after attending enology classes at UC Davis. Taking his knowledge back to Israel, the chemist turned winemaker injected his own scientific spin to the winemaking process. Today, Margalit Winery is a family-run operation specializing in internationally acclaimed red Bordeaux blends.
This is the first vineyard in Israel of Cabernet Franc, the first vineyard that was to produce a standalone wine.
In the entire country.
In the entire country. We're the first ones to produce a Cabernet Franc, the Margalit Winery.
Wow. Talking to winemakers all over the world is that the one thing they're always trying to recreate is growing wine in Mediterranean-like climates, right? It mimics the Mediterranean. Everybody says, well, this is the Mediterranean.
This is the Mediterranean, and it ain't a pleasure.
Yeah, one of the things I notice about boutique wineries is the light-handedness of making wine.
Basically, non-intervention. As much as possible, non-intervention winemaking. Basically thinking that the winemaker is there just to protect the quality of the grapes that he's got, not to change them. On a bad year, you need a great winemaker. On a good year, you need a winemaker who doesn't make mistakes.
Interesting, interesting. And I notice we're surrounded by these delicious looking avocados, and there's a reason why you're doing that, right?
We're not gonna get a disease from the avocados. There's gonna be no kind of virus or disease or any kind of fungus that comes across because they're not matched for the same diseases.
So I can't wait to try some of your delicious wines.
Okay, well, we're on our way.
You know, I would argue you may have the best job in all of Israel.
I do.
Overseeing the Israeli wine experience. Tell me about what your job entails and what you do every day.
I do this every day. I drink every day. I mean, not every day.
That's why you have the best job in Israel.
At least twice a day. No, I have a small company which markets 5 of the best boutique wineries in Israel. Okay? So that's part of the enjoyment of the job, and Margalit is part of that group. So the Israel Wine Experience is actually a wine touring company, and I don't do it for everybody. I only do it for people who come from overseas because I want them to see who we are. And I want them to understand that we make wine and there's an experience here. And when they meet the winemakers and they meet the people in behind the scenes, that's what makes the
it's so easy.
That's what makes the story.
It is, and it's so easy for a visitor coming from different parts of the world to look at TripAdvisor and Yelp and all the organic
and they'll go to
stuff.
the big wineries and it's boring.
Tell me a little bit about Margalit. It's one of your favorite wineries here in Israel, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite, and I'm also doing the marketing for the winery. That's why it's one of my favorites. But we're gonna taste. I'm gonna open the bottle and we're gonna taste it along the way as we're talking about it. Okay. Dr. Yair Margalit, who's a professor of chemistry.
From our backyard, if I'm not mistaken, UC Davis, if that's not me.
He was studying chemistry there, and he had time and he crossed the street to the wine department and listened to a few lectures, and basically sort of fell in love with the concept. And in 1989, took grapes and made his first little batch of wine. And everybody was saying, well, it's never going to go anywhere. And now it's 29 years later. And from 2 barrels, we've come to 28,000 bottles a year. This is the second vintage of the GSM we call Paradigma. And why is it called Paradigma? Because Paradigma is a change in concept. So for us, it's a big change in concept from Cabernet Merlot, Cabernet Franc, and Petit Verdot. We've moved to Grenache, Syrah, Mourvèdre. So this is GSM 2016. And
Wow. You taste the fruit forward at the very beginning, but it just stays on the palate. That's really delicious.
yeah, and it stays, the flavor stays a long time.
Tell me, what else did you bring for us today?
If I have to put together a basketball team, if I'm Phil Jackson, and they say, put together your wine basketball team. So Margarita is going to be certainly in the starting five on the court. If the game is going to be about Cabernet Sauvignon, we have a lot of good players that are, Cabernet Sauvignon in Israel, but I'm certain that he'll be one of the five on the court. If the game is about Bordeaux blends, so I'm sure that Enigma will be part of the top three. But if we're going to talk about Cabernet Franc, I have Michael Jordan.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And you can't beat that.
That's amazing.
The next wine that we're going to taste is not Michael Jordan, Cabernet Franc. Now the fact that we don't water any of our vineyards adds a lot to the intensity of the grape. So we're getting all the flavors that we need, all the intensity of the vine that's been working to give you this flavor, and a little bit of that sun.
I don't know what note you'll get from it, but the note I'm getting from it is almost like a dark cherry, a currant, with a little hint of chocolate in there. That is really, really delicious. That's really good.
And a little bit of green olive.
Yeah. L'chaim?
L'chaim, thank
L'chaim.
you.
A landlocked salt lake on the border between Israel and Jordan, the Dead Sea is the lowest body of water on Earth, with a salt content 10 times of that of any ocean, giving the water a natural buoyancy. While high in salt content, the Dead Sea is also nutrient-rich with 21 healing minerals. It has been reported to be the first health resort created to rejuvenate the ailing King Herod the Great, and now thousands of tourists. My friends for over 15 years, it was fellow Californians Jim and Becky Moriarty who suggested Dine Out travel to Israel, the country they now call home. Selling their house and possessions, Jim and Becky followed their hearts and began their life's calling in the land they hold dear. During our journey, the Moriartys have been our Israeli connection, acting as liaisons, tour guides, translators, and of course, have introduced us to some of the unique treasures in Israel. Isn't this crazy?
It's nuts.
The last time we were together, you were right across the street from Buchanan High School, Clovis, California. Now we're walking into Capernaum, the town of Capernaum. Well, tell me a little bit about Capernaum. What is the significance of this town historically and biblically?
Capernaum, this is where Jesus based his ministry in Israel out of. And this is Peter's house, and this is where he healed Peter's mother-in-law. And probably nearby is where Peter launched his fishing fleet, his boats.
Yeah.
And the thing that I love about Capernaum, this land of Israel is full of controversy, obviously, and this is one of just a handful of places in Israel that are really undisputed.
It's amazing to see the number of people from all over the world here. You see, what you can see physically is people from Ethiopia, from Egypt, from Italy, from the Philippines, from Mexico, making the migration, the pilgrimage to the Holy Land. I mean, that's just incredible. What was the pull for you and Becky to come here?
Israel's always been lurking in our hearts because you can't help how you're raised, and the pieces just kind of fell together. So we put our house on the market. Some of my friends like you, Jimmy, I think it's great. Wow, other people think I'm nuts.
Magdala is known to be the hometown of Mary Magdalene, one of Jesus' most devoted followers. She was one of the few people mentioned in the Gospels as being present at his crucifixion, burial, and the first recorded witness of Jesus' resurrection.
This town has got the most extraordinary find. They excavated and found a first century synagogue. On that site, they built a little church. They are allowing women from all over the area, traumatized women, who've been through horrific experiences, and they've been bringing some of these women into this little chapel here, and there have been amazing restorations going on in these women's lives. They've suffered so much.
And that find is really elevating women that have struggled in life.
Absolutely.
I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yes, variety of different cultures, all these women coming together here, represented actually different faiths coming to this little church, utilizing this space and saying women of all cultures are welcome here to be restored.
Plush ambiance, elegant decor, an exquisite cuisine that blends Galilee-style Arabic with a Mediterranean and Lebanese flair. From enticing appetizers and freshly prepared seafood to delicious meat dishes and luscious desserts. Meals meticulously created and impeccably crafted on the plate. Located on the Sea of Galilee shoreline, the restaurant overlooks the Golan Heights and the ancient ruins of Magdala. You know, that's the one thing that is so incredible for me, is that our interpretation of what Israeli or Jewish food would be back home is completely different than the experience you have here. I mean, this is an fusion, amalgamation of culture and history all just combining together to look at this beautiful cuisine, right?
Yes.
This is the lamb that they're known for.
So good.
Yeah, I'm gonna try a little taste of this here. I love lamb, nothing like grilled lamb, right? Fresh. That's outstanding. It's incredible. Sure, it's Lebanese food, but it's got a little taste of Syria, a little bit of California, a little bit of everything in here. This is absolutely delicious. Wonderful. Tell me about what you would tell someone who's never encountered the Middle East or been to Israel. What would you say about the people and the culture? And
Love to eat, they love to laugh, they drink good drinks, you know, they love their children.
just like us.
Yes,
Right.
we're the same. Everywhere you go, people are the same, and so that's what we find. Is
But the day-to-day life is like this. It's like what you've experienced the last 2 days. And this is the story that we want to be a part of telling, which is so great about you coming, is that we have a chance to connect you with what we've discovered in Israel and the people, the friends that we've made, the connections, Rami and so forth, and that's what the world needs to see.
To Israel. L'chaim.
yes.
Family owned for 4 generations, Ahmad Maharoom Sweets started as one of many sweet spots in Nazareth, catering to the local clientele. Before long, however, the name Maharoom and Tasty's Treats became synonymous and quickly drew the attention of tourists. Famous for their sweet Arabian delicacies, the bakery is most noted for its baklava and its specialty kanafi, a luscious masterpiece of blended cheeses topped with lightly crispy flour and semolina dough and served with a sugary syrup. This is like a coconut, like shredded wheat on top
it's a
of
pasta.
cheese.
It's like a little pasta on top of the cheese. Oh, honey, thank you, honey.
Oh my God.
Is that money or what?
Wow. That is worth the trip to Nazareth for this kanafi.
I can't eat that much of that.
That is one of the most
That's a lot.
unusual, different desserts ever. Turning cheese into a dessert, what a brilliant. pistachios. It feels like a caramel or there's nuts, no question, pistachio nuts and a little coconut. It's delicious, absolutely delicious. Yes, Nazareth, child home of Jesus, baklava. This is kind of surreal. Delicious. Join us next week as we continue our journey. Part 2 of Dine Out Along the Road, Israel.
And we're done. Bon appetit.